Forget everything you think you know about why gold just shattered $3,500 per ounce. The mainstream explanation? It's a safe haven, inflation hedge, fear trade. That's what they want you to believe. But that's not the real story. Not even close. What's actually driving gold to record highs right now is something far bigger, far more strategic, and something the financial media is either missing or deliberately ignoring. And once you understand what's really happening behind the scenes, you'll never look at gold or the dollar the same way again. This is the Wealth Forum. Let's pull back the curtain. Here's what doesn't make sense. Gold is supposed to fall when central banks raise interest rates and fight inflation. That's economics 101. Higher rates mean higher opportunity cost for holding non-yielding assets like gold. Tighter monetary policy should crush gold prices. And yet, gold is exploding. The Federal Reserve has been aggressively raising rates. They've been shrinking their balance sheet. They've been talking tough about fighting inflation with everything they have. By every traditional metric, gold should be collapsing right now. But it's doing the exact opposite. Why? Let me show you something most people don't understand about gold. Gold doesn't do anything. It doesn't produce dividends. It doesn't generate cash flow. It doesn't innovate or grow earnings. If you held a gold bar in ancient Rome and handed it to someone today, it would be exactly the same piece of metal, unchanged for 2,000 years. That's why so many financial advisors dismiss it. They call it a barbarous relic, a dead asset, boring, useless. And yet, despite producing nothing, gold has silently preserved wealth through every empire collapse, every currency crisis, every inflationary spiral in human history. That's not luck. That's telling you something fundamental about the nature of money itself. To understand why gold is skyrocketing now, you need to understand what gold is actually measuring. It's not measuring gold's value going up. It's measuring the dollar's value going down. Let me prove it to you with history. In 1971, when President Nixon officially severed the dollar's link to gold, 1 ounce of gold cost $35. $35. Today, that same ounce costs over $3,500. What changed? Did gold suddenly become 100 times more useful? Did it develop new properties? Did it start generating income? Number. The gold didn't change. What changed was the dollar. Paper money is different from gold in one critical way. It can be created at will. And in moments of crisis, governments always choose to print more of it, hoping to keep the system from collapsing. Look at 2008. Before the global financial crisis, the Federal Reserve's balance sheet was steady at around $800 billion. Then, the crisis hit. Almost overnight, that number tripled. The Fed printed trillions to save failing banks and markets. And something irreversible happened. Trust in the permanence of the dollar began to crack. Right alongside that crack, gold began to soar. Fast forward to 2020. A new crisis, even bigger. The Fed had no choice but to do the same thing again, only on an unprecedented scale. The balance sheet exploded to nearly $9 trillion. The supply of dollars went vertical. Money was created faster than at any point in peacetime history. And just like before, gold responded. Not because gold was doing anything, but because the measuring stick, the dollar, was being stretched thinner and thinner. Now, here's where it gets really strange. Since 2022, the Fed has been trying to undo some of this damage. They've been shrinking their balance sheet, raising interest rates aggressively, fighting inflation, talking tough about monetary discipline. By every traditional metric, gold should be falling. Higher rates mean less appeal for non-yielding assets. Tighter money should strengthen the dollar. Gold should be getting crushed. But it's not. It's hitting all-time highs, month after month, breaking records. And that's the real mystery. What force is powerful enough to push gold higher when all the traditional signals point the other way? Here's the answer the financial media won't tell you. It's not about inflation anymore. It's not even about the Federal Reserve. It's about something much bigger and far more dangerous for the dollar. It's about a global shift in power and the rise of nations that no longer trust the dollar system. If you're starting to realize this goes way deeper than anyone's telling you, hit that subscribe button right now and smash the like button. Because what I'm about to show you explains the most important financial shift happening in the world today. And most people have no idea it's even occurring. Let's continue. For decades, the US dollar has been the undisputed king of global finance. It's been the world's reserve currency, the one asset every country had to hold. Central banks around the world stored their wealth in US Treasury bonds, believing it was the safest, most reliable place to park their money. But over the last 20 years, that trust has been quietly eroding, and now it's accelerating into a full sprint away from dollars and into gold. Look at China. Once one of the largest holders of US Treasury bonds, China has been systematically selling them off, hundreds of billions of dollars worth. And what are they buying instead? Gold. Massive amounts of gold. Not just a little diversification, we're talking about a strategic shift at the highest levels of government. Why? Because gold is the one asset that can't be frozen by sanctions. It can't be seized by executive order. It can't be printed into oblivion by a central bank. It exists outside the dollar system entirely. Look at Russia. After Western sanctions cut them out of the global banking system, Russia doubled down on gold. The Russian central bank is now one of the top 5 holders of gold reserves in the world. They learned the hard way that holding dollars means playing by Washington's rules. Gold doesn't require anyone's permission. Even India, which for decades held only modest gold reserves, has been quietly stacking gold at record levels. Their reserves are growing as fast as their economy because they see what's coming. They understand the global monetary system is changing. And it's not just these three. Turkey, Poland, Singapore, Qatar, central banks around the world are buying gold at the fastest pace in over 50 years. This isn't a coincidence. This is coordination. This is preparation. These nations are getting ready for a world where the dollar is no longer the unquestioned king. And the only way to prepare for that world is to own the one asset no government can debase, no politician can print, no sanction can touch. That asset is gold. This is the real reason gold is skyrocketing. Not because of short-term fear, not because of inflation headlines, but because behind the scenes, the largest economies on earth are systematically shifting their reserves out of paper dollars and into physical metal. And it's not just governments. Wealthy individuals, sovereign wealth funds, pension managers, people who manage trillions of dollars are doing the same thing. They see U.S. national debt surging past $36 trillion with no plan to ever pay it back. They see annual deficits of $2 trillion becoming normalized. They see money being created out of thin air to patch holes in a system that's fundamentally broken. And they're asking themselves a simple question: do I really want all my wealth tied to this? That's why demand for gold is rising, even when traditional logic says it shouldn't. It's no longer about the Fed's next interest rate decision. It's about a global realignment, a loss of confidence in the old order, and a desperate search for something solid to hold when the paper system cracks. Think of it like this. Imagine you're on a ship. For decades, it's been strong, steady, unsinkable. Everyone trusted it completely. But then, small cracks start appearing. At first, they're patched up and ignored. But the cracks keep getting bigger. The patches become more desperate. Deep down, everyone can feel the structure weakening. What do? You grab a lifeboat, just in case. Gold is that lifeboat. Over the last 25 years, gold has climbed from around $280 per ounce to over $3,500 today. That's a 1,150% gain. Not bad for an asset that supposedly does nothing. Meanwhile, U.S. national debt has exploded from $5 trillion to $36 trillion. Does anyone seriously believe this can continue forever without consequences? When a government owes more than it can ever realistically repay, There are only two options: default or inflate the debt away by printing more money. History shows us that governments always choose the second option. They always print, which means the dollar will continue to weaken and gold will continue to strengthen. Now, does this mean gold will hit $10,000 per ounce overnight? Probably not. But does it mean the upward trend is locked in for the foreseeable future? Absolutely. Because this story isn't about gold becoming more valuable. It's about the dollar becoming less trustworthy. And here's what should concern you. Gold's rise isn't just a price chart, it's a signal, a thermometer measuring the fever of the global financial system. And right now, that fever is rising fast. The media won't tell you this. They'll keep pointing to interest rates, to monthly inflation numbers, to temporary moves in bond markets. But those are just surface ripples. The deeper current, the one pulling everything forward, is this massive global migration out of paper dollars and into gold. That's the real reason gold is skyrocketing. And once you understand it, you realize this isn't about what happens next week or next month. This is about the next decade, the next generation, a fundamental restructuring of how the world stores wealth. So let me ask you, if the world's largest economies are preparing for a post-dollar future by hoarding gold, shouldn't you at least ask yourself why? Shouldn't you consider what they see that most people don't? Because by the time the answer becomes obvious to everyone, it will already be too late to position yourself. If this completely changed how you see what's happening with gold and the dollar, subscribe to the Wealth Forum right now and hit that like button. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. Are you buying gold, or do you think the dollar will hold? History is watching. The question is, are you?